Feels like we're both where we're supposed to be. Windows down, driving slow while you're kissing me, but I know I'm gonna crash. City's made for losing you, falling, finding someone new. But calling me at 2 in the morning to say you feel it too. City's made for losing you, but fighting up for getting through. Coming over at 3 in the morning because you feel it too. Cause you feel it too. All weekend we on the phone. You say that you wanna move home. I think maybe you were never mine. We're racing around like the world's gonna end, but are we gonna break when we're trying to bend? But when you show up and say everything's fine, and the hardest days are going fast, and I know that nothing ever lasts. 'Cause feels like we're not where we're supposed to be. Wanna drive late at night with you next to me, but I don't think that I can last. The city's made for losing you, falling, finding someone new. But calling me at 2 in the morning to say you feel it too. City's made for losing you, but fighting up for getting through. Coming over at 3 in the morning because you feel it too. Cause you feel it too. Take back my love from them all. They only let me down. I've had my fill of their words. They only let me down. Getting me so high off an empty rush. But my eyes, they have never seen something like you before. So I give you my hand, give you my heart. Take me from here, be mine. Give you my hand, give you my heart. Take me from here, be my escape. Look back on all my mistakes. Look back on who I was. You came like light in the dark. I didn't know rescue would come, and your love getting me so high off your loving. I can't get enough. You bring my love to life. You bring my world to life. Give you my hand, give you my heart. Take me from here, be mine. Give you my hand, give you my heart. Take me from here, be my escape.
Boy, Got some bangers on the stream tonight. Well, here we are. It's Thursday. Time to do a little bit of .NET and Scotch. I'm actually going to go ahead and reduce the sound of our EDM music in the background here, courtesy of Twitch. All right, now how is everybody doing tonight? Good, well, I'm ready to go ahead, dive into our program. Pumped. All right, well, HimJ, you've been promoted to moderator, by the way. Thank you very much for all of your continued participation here. Good, except the rules tell you to behave. Andrew, good to see you. Well, I had to type something in there, and I figured less is more. So that's what we went with. So, .NET and Scotch. I'm going to start with my Scotch first, and then we're going to go ahead and move in to talk a little bit about some of the fun I had in the .NET open source Dramaverse tonight. But most of what we're going to be working on is picking up with the application that we spec'd out on Tuesday, which is DrawTogether.net, a collaborative drawing program built using a combination of Blazor, probably using some SignalR here for doing some live streaming, and then we'll be using Akka.net and a couple of other fun tools to build a backplane. So that's kind of what we're going to get into from a technical point of view. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with our alcohol. So, now I know this camera has the resolution of a baked potato, so I'll try to go ahead and show what I'm drinking anyway. This bottle says Auld Blow-In, which is just it's an independent bottler. The whiskey that I'm drinking is Port Dundas, which is a distillery that is now defunct, shut down in 2011. They used to make the majority of the mash that went into... I'm going to switch to some more chilled music. There we go. They made the majority of the mash that went into Johnny Walker for about 70 years. So this is very sweet. There's still a lot of it. The distillery they ran was quite big. They tore it down in 2011 to build an even bigger one. And this is one of my favorite scotches of all time. So let me go ahead and pour some of this out. This is 14 years old. Not the oldest one we're drinking on the stream, but it's up there. It's got this nice clear color. And it tastes fantastic. Lots of oak, a little bit of heat. 110 proof. That'll do. That'll do nicely. So that's cast strength. All right. That's kind of the start of our scotch. I'm going to sip on that for the course of tonight's program. Now, what I want to go ahead and get into, before we dive into our source code, let me go ahead and get rid of that real fast. Before we dive into our source code this evening, I want to talk about setting the internet on fire, namely .NET Open Source Drama. So, I covered this on an earlier edition of the stream. You can find the clip embedded on my little blog post here. In fact, I'll drop a link to this in chat right now. But, long story short, Identity Server, popular token server implementation that's been around in the .NET community for the better part of 10 years, announced last October they were moving to a dual license model, which means typically you use a very aggressive copyleft license, which is viral, so companies don't want to use that in their proprietary source code. They picked the RPL for doing that, and announced that companies who wanted to use Identity Server commercially would have to buy a license in order to get around the RPL provisions. And those licenses started around $1,500 a year and were only necessary for companies that did more than $1 million in annual revenue, which should exclude small startups, academics, nonprofits, etc. So, in my opinion, those are very generous licensing terms. However, many in the community had some consternation about that, feeling like they had been baited and switched, and that Microsoft needed to continue to push alternatives to Identity Server that were in fact free. And there are a number of them out there, which I linked to a little bit further down on this post. However, the simmering shit pile that set the .NET community on fire was this post from a month ago. This is in fact the second time we've talked about it on the stream. Long story short, we are going to keep in the ASP.NET Core 6 templates, we are going to keep Duende's Identity Server 5, the RPL paid product, which in turn means that any of the applications built on top of these templates also are subject to the RPL. The RPL is a viral license. And so they went ahead and said for the next version of ASP.NET, we're going to do this. We'll reevaluate to basically go ahead and allow maybe other alternative tools to be included, but that's that. So the .NET community reacted to the inclusion of this RPL product with utmost graciousness. They were very happy to go ahead and see that Microsoft is taking steps to legitimize dual license software models, and that Microsoft is trying to support independent software vendors and all the individual consumers of open source in the .NET ecosystem. All decided that this was a much more preferable outcome for Identity Server than the project simply dying. Just kidding. They lost their shit and collectively ran to speak to the manager of .NET Open Source. In this big old thread right here, which, by the way, this is the second time we've mentioned this sucker as well. How did I keep a straight face saying that? I've got a lot of experience with deadpan. In terms of deadpan delivery. So, long story short, this big old thread is a giant flaming piece of wreckage. I covered it in the stream maybe 3 weeks ago. might even be longer ago than that, because I think this came up beginning of May. 27 days ago, so May 7th. So it's been around for a while. Long story short, Jimmy Bogard and some others have been mining this thing. Scotch and Deadpan share a long history. H3, indeed, yes, they do. This is wisdom juice, So, the gist of this, Jimmy Bogard and Martin Baliu and a few others have been mining this thread daily for just all sorts of gems. Let me go ahead and find a fantastic one real fast. If I scroll down to the bottom here, there's one I took a pot shot at. Yeah, here we go. All right. Pro tip. I don't understand why a .NET Foundation project needs to be forked. Identity Server is still listed as a .NET Foundation project. Shouldn't new maintainers be selected if the old maintainers want out? Often in the FOSS community, pull requests appear out of the woodwork when developers relying on the software run into issues. Security scans failing due to dependency CVEs, something. Supposedly IS4 doesn't support .NET 6, but this seems like something the community could/would address. Oh, my dear sweet summer child. If only that were so easy. I wanted to write back to him. Basically like if it were only that easy to find security experts who are willing to go ahead and maintain this product at no cost to you, So yeah, it's it's just that easy, right? Andrew, it's not like they rage quit and made it GPL. Do we know any open source projects that may have done that? I'm just gonna leave that as an exercise for the viewer. See if anyone can think of an example of a high profile instance where that might have happened. But yeah, no, of course. It's long story short, the folks who are on this thread simultaneously talk about how this shouldn't be that hard for someone else to step in and go ahead and maintain this. But also, it has to be built and maintained by experts because it's an extremely important piece of software, and they still shouldn't have to pay for it. So this is basically a classic case of people getting upset when their free lunch is taken away from them. Or as I like to describe it, this is the parable of little piggies get to live another day, but hogs get slaughtered. So that example usually comes up in the tragedy of the commons, which is what an economic principle that open source that certainly applies to open source, but also applies to things like crime. So in the case of crime, I go ahead and highlight a little example here. A criminal who shoplifts a candy bar from a convenience store is unlikely to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law because the amount of resources it takes to do that are roughly equal to the amount of resources it takes to go ahead and, let's say, chase down someone who robbed a bank. You still, in terms of the amount of police resources and attention. So little fish tend to be let go. Big fish get weighed for trophies. There's another way of putting that. Well, when it comes to open source projects, a project that has a large number of users with a diverse set of use cases, with a lot of demands on the maintainer's time, those are the projects most likely to experience burnout, or in the case of Identity Server, a major paradigm shift, which in this case was moving away from a permissive open source license to a more copyleft one in order to support a dual licensing model. H3. How can people be that dumb while simultaneously taking time out for a conversation requiring careful thought? Never underestimate a software developer's willingness to engage in pointless arguments online. To use another pig analogy, it's like pigs rolling in mud when it comes to that sort of thing. So, should never underestimate that as a non-replenishable resource. As an infinitely replenishable resource. So, long story short, I kind of summarized a bunch of the ridiculous demands that developers made. So one was that this is an essential service and Microsoft should just buy Duende and make Identity Server free again, as though like Brock Allen and Dominic Bayer haven't received, let's say offers to go work for Microsoft before. They very likely have. And like, who cares what they want? Microsoft should just write them a big check and make it happen. Like, I'm sure that's how corporate mergers and acquisition departments operate, right? Based on GitHub issues. Next, apparently none of the people on this thread read the pricing terms at all. Like, if you're doing under $1 million in revenue, you don't have to pay for anything. But people just wanted to complain, so they just kind of glossed over that. Contributing to Identity Server 4. This is the point of that commenter just made that I read. It's like, well, hey, it's still free and open source. If you want to step up and maintain the project, I bet you could. Like, I bet that Dominic and Brock would be more than happy to relinquish control there and let someone else do it. It's just that the bet is you probably won't last very long. The other one was that maybe Microsoft should incorporate some other free alternatives into their templates, such as OpenID Core, Simple ID Server. So I actually had a delightful conversation with Kevin on Twitter, the maintainer of OpenID Core, who mentioned that he had to go ahead and restrict users filing GitHub issues in his repositories to sponsors only, because so many people were flooding him with questions. And so he said, listen, I set the base threshold for donors to $2 a month, and that cut down the number of people submitting issues by like a significant margin. So it's kind of amazing what happens when you take a free resource like Identity Server or OpenID and all of a sudden require an exchange of value there. A bunch of people suddenly aren't willing to go ahead and ask you for support and file issues and all that stuff, which speaks volumes about the attitudes of the Microsoft developer community and how much they value their own time versus using someone else's technology. So my ultimate takeaway, based on the total white hot rage on that thread, is that the dollar amount has very little to do with why people are upset. I don't think that has anything to do with it. And I think the reason why the pricing threshold of being able to have under $1 million a year in income and still be able to use the product, why I don't think that abated a whole bunch of the outrage, comes down to this. It is a 100% slam dunk, in my opinion, to spend $1,500 on Identity Server versus implementing it yourself. Plus, if you go ahead and compare that to, let's say, the cost of using Okta or Auth0, it is way cheaper to go ahead and pay, an annual license fee for this versus the utilization-based fees you're going to get charged for those other platforms. Like, it's not even close. So this is very, I am Rook. I feel like this is an issue of short-sightedness. Absolutely. That's 100% right. It is short-sightedness. You can rarely buy developer expertise with a credit card. Most of the time, you have to take some pretty significant risks. You have to, lure someone from a job they already have. You have to pay them a fairly significant amount of money. You don't know what the communication style is going to be like. You don't know necessarily what their output's going to be. There's all sorts of risk and uncertainty with bringing a developer to your organization. We actually covered this on our very first stream. We talked a bit about those risks that are inherent in hiring developers. Well, if I can just go ahead and buy an expert solution for $1,500 a year, that's a slam dunk. So why are people so upset? Well, I have a theory, and I have called it procurement rage. And I mentioned this in the last thread too, that once maintainers affix a dollar amount as the entry fee to benefit from all their institutionalized knowledge and expertise, developers have no choice other than violating the licensing terms, which legal departments won't stand for at big companies, or even worse if you're at a big company, dealing with the procurement bureaucracy. Now, my opinion on procurement bureaucracies, I go ahead and kind of state it down here. Their job is basically to make sure business does not get done. That's primarily what they're there to do. So they make a big song and dance about vetting risk, but it's primarily trying to find a reason why they should say no to stuff. It's like the the precautionary principle taken to an extreme. Oh God, we're getting more comments on this ASP.NET thread as we're going here. I don't know why Microsoft hasn't shut that down yet. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But basically, the procurement bureaucracy is intentionally slow moving. They make it expensive for people to get things done. And the real reason why developers hate it is they have to go ahead and engage in unnatural acts, namely cost justification and writing emails, possibly even doing a PowerPoint or having a meeting. Who knows? So basically, all of a sudden now, because they aren't using a super permissive open source license that doesn't need to be discussed with legal or procurement, now they're forced to have these conversations and they're forced to defend their choices. And that's really where I think the actual rage comes from, is they're having to go ahead and retroactively go ahead and defend, hey, we went ahead and took a dependency on this product, but we can't upgrade to the next new version of it without paying for it. And that's really what it comes down to. I think it comes down to that. It comes down to the fact that Microsoft apparently does not care one iota about the fact these developers have to do this. And so this is the end of their free lunch. They've been able to go ahead and benefit from the software for years without giving anything of any value in exchange. Dominic details that in his blog post about how little money they've received in donations over the past 3 or 4 years. And now the bill has come due, and they're not going to be able to go ahead and get by without having to offer something in exchange for those open source projects. So I basically summarized down here sort of my final takeaway, that people who go ahead and consume value from open source projects need to basically start entering the mindset of, we need to treat this like a critical supply chain vendor. If you're in the manufacturing business and you have a vendor that is, let's say, severely undercapitalized or tremendously in debt, you're going to either go ahead and look to switch things around with that, basically try to find an alternative vendor. So in the case that those guys go bankrupt, you aren't stuck with it, having a non-moving assembly line. Or you go ahead and maybe work with them on financing terms in order to try to help the business be healthier. Or maybe you even do co-investment on capacity expansion. I once met, random story, I once met the guy who invented stuffed crust pizza for Pizza Hut when I was on a hike in the mountain range in Wyoming by the Snake River, the Grand Teton Mountain Range. There we go. So we were both hiking up to the top of Grand Teton. The guy was a marathon runner and never let any of his kids eat stuffed crust pizza. But he told me that in order for them to actually build that product, they had to double the world's supply of string cheese. So they had to go ahead and co-invest in all those dairy manufacturers to create more of that. So these are the sorts of things that companies that have real cost of goods have to go ahead and do to keep their supply chains healthy. That's pretty normal outside of software. In software, where the cost of reproducing products is zero because it's all digital, so the cost for me to go ahead and build a version of Aki.NET for one person is the same as it is to build it for 2 million people. We historically have been able to enjoy a free ride where we don't have to think about supply chain risk that way. Well, the problem we have now is that if our supply chain depends on one guy in Idaho, you're judiciously maintaining an SSL library or a serializer, what happens when that developer says, screw it, and quits or changes their licensing structure around? Well, you're in kind of bad shape. I mentioned here, I use the example of .NET, one of our dependencies in Aki.NET being abandoned by Microsoft because they switched their technology stack for the Azure IoT Hub. And now we're stuck with this piece of dead tech that we don't really want to update. And we have to find a replacement for that, which is a fairly expensive operation. We've got the in-house experience and time and resources to do that, but not a lot of other companies would. So one thing you have to start pricing in is when you start adopting these open source technologies, you should price in the expectation that you're gonna have to contribute value back to the producers. The easiest way to do that is to pay for stuff. Buy licenses, buy support plans, set up a monthly donation, whatever it's gonna be. But the other way you can do it that adds a ton of value is actually maybe just contributing to the project, sending back code. Maybe it's promoting it. Maybe it's making some blog posts and videos or Pluralsight courses. Maybe a testimonial from your company can help. You know, we had a testimonial we just did for Akka.net on the Petabridge site from a company called Vertec, and they're using Akka.net for doing device simulation. They're simulating airport conveyor belts because that's what they build for a living. They build all the control systems for baggage handlers and all that stuff for moving, cargo through airports and that type of thing. Well, they've never paid Petabridge a dime. We've never done business with them at all. But that case study is very valuable. We can go ahead and use that when we are talking about onboarding somebody who might be a paying customer. We can use that as an example of one way Akka.net might be able to contribute some value. So there's a lot of ways of doing that, but it's the mindset. It's the mindset that has to really shift in order to go ahead and support it. So that's my little spiel about today's little blog post. There's been all sorts of fun comments on Twitter and everything about it. I'll be curious to see where things go. And I sincerely wish all of the open source projects I mentioned here, whether it's Identity Server or OpenIDICT, I sincerely wish all of the best of luck. I think that software too often gets thought of as a zero-sum game where someone has to win at someone else's expense, but that's not really true. Software is a grow the market, grow the pie sort of game in my experience. There's room for lots of competing technologies, even within one ecosystem. All right, let's see what this last comment is down here. Nah, no fun. Just people arguing about semantics now. All right. Now, one last thing I wanted to mention before we start talking a bit about Blazor tonight is I wanted to talk about some of the work we've been doing live on the stream over the past few weeks. And I wanted to show you kind of what we built together over the course of time. Oh, sorry, H3, I missed that comment from you. The cost of getting to a yes commitment in the procurement process is often more expensive than the licensing fee. That is absolutely true. The amount of money people waste on corporate lawyers redlining like totally anodyne purchasing agreements never ceases to amaze me. There's a book out there, Bullshit Jobs, where they talk about basically non-productive jobs like flackies and everything else. The number one chapter in there that makes me laugh is the corporate attorney, where basically they find a way to make everything more expensive, riskier, and bespoke, rather than using standardized contracts and that sort of stuff. Because they feel like if they don't edit the contract, they haven't done their job. So yeah, my lived experience concurs with yours there. Now, one of the things I wanted to go ahead and share, these are the release notes for Akka.net 1.4.2.1. That's the version of Akka.net that we've been working on when I've been doing all this performance optimization on the stream over the past couple weeks. I just wanted to show real quick because I'm feeling very pleased with what we've done. By the way, this wasn't all my doing. Gregorius on the Petabridge team contributed this fix and a number of other ones. We had an open source contributor contribute this big fix down here for our dependency injection system. So this success has a lot of parents in this case. But most of these ones right here are things that we did together. First, ask operations, 10% faster now. That's mostly as a result of being able to get rid of string builders. So we did that on, I think, last Friday's stream. We went ahead and reduced the actor path.parse time from about 1700 nanoseconds per operation to 527 nanoseconds per operation, a 68% improvement. And we did that over the course of a couple of different PRs here. We're able to go ahead and remove one really expensive allocation from resolve actor ref with local address. And then the net result of this, these are the performance numbers from 1.420. You can see that we're kind of averaging right around 180,000 messages per second, maybe 183,000. We're doing about 190,000 right here. And it's worth noting, we actually got rid of this thread pool.setMinThreads call in this release. And that's one of the things that actually helped improve these numbers before. So that means that the performance improvements we made here were even more impressive than the first time around. So I feel really delighted and pleased with that. We're going to try to push a beta release of this package up, hopefully by, if not tomorrow, maybe on Monday. And then we'll try to go ahead and do a full release maybe a week after that. Okay, now that's that for Akka.NET and for dealing with our performance stuff. Let's go ahead and talk a bit now about the application we're trying to build, drawtogether.net. So the first thing we kind of did last week was we spec'd out a little bit of a UI and some requirements that are over here, and I'll go ahead and pull that up. So this is an example of our UI. It's meant to be kind of a really simple drawing surface that we're going to do in Blazor. So you can go ahead and pick some colors down here. We can do pencils and erasers and shapes right here, basically different stencils we can use. And then multiple concurrent users can all draw things on the screen all at once. And we specified some requirements here, which I'll go ahead and drop into chat. Now, these requirements certainly aren't static, but we picked things that we thought would be relatively inexpensive to implement. So where we kind of ended things on the stream last Tuesday, before we started having major internet connectivity problems, was, let me go ahead and pull this up, was we were working on experimenting with Blazor. Now, thanks to some help from H3, who sent me this over Twitter, I went ahead and I found a set of really good YouTube tutorials for how to work with Blazor Online. I've only just started going through these, but this course looks like it's pretty good, by Claudio Bernasconi. So this first video starts with this sort of default Blazor template and works through. We're not going to watch this together. That'd be boring and uninspired. We're going to go ahead and try to actually go and build our UI layout tonight, though. But I wanted to go ahead and give credit where it's due. I think Claudio's course seems very well done. I'm going to go ahead and actually give him a little subscription right there. And I'm going to go ahead and start trying to actually follow through in all the different little steps in this course here. So he went ahead and built this, looks like in March of this year. So this is all pretty recent. So I'll move that out of the way. Now, this is his code sample right here. Oh, wow. Looks like we just lost a whole bunch of subscribers there. Maybe that was the jitter on the feed, maybe. Now, one thing I wanted to go ahead and do was pull up Claudio's code sample, because one of the things he did that I really appreciated was basically building a little dashboard down here that shows how to actually go ahead and construct graphics and that type of thing. That's something that I wanted to be able to figure out how to do, and you'll be able to go ahead and render UI shapes in Blazor, which is totally new to me. So he went ahead and this code sample is something that we're going to go ahead and probably, I'll star this here. I'll probably go ahead and clone, take a look at this. But what his course led me to is he uses some components from a company called Radzin. Radzin has a NuGet package that's available online that basically has all sorts of little components for doing Blazor charts, data grids, that sort of thing, you name it. So the pricing for it shouldn't intimidate you. They basically have a professional license that allows you to go ahead and deploy unlimited number of applications and all that sort of good stuff. So they have a professional license for that, but the actual Radzin NuGet package, if I can go ahead and find it, let's see, resources. You know what? Let me go ahead and grab this. Thought I had this link ready to go already, but I must not have. Their NuGet package is all MIT licensed, so I actually don't need to pay a damn thing to use it if I want. But I might go ahead and throw them some money anyway to go ahead and support the company there. So if I go and click on source repository, here's what they've got. So this is Radzin. This is their Blazor components. And if we click here, they've got a couple of other little samples, etc. But they've been actively working on this. They have paid commercial support, etc. All of this looks pretty good. So one thing I wanted to take a look at as far as figuring out some of our UI components is I want to try to understand how some of their Blazor components work and try to use that. Using the Blazor WebAssembly stuff, I want to see how we can kind of work backwards from some of this to try to go and build a real, real Razor component UI. So I'm going to go ahead, I think I've already started this. I'll go ahead and take a look at releases. Yeah, that sounds good. And I'll go ahead and fork a copy of this over to my personal repository, and I'll clone it. Now, this is their demo, which I thought was pretty impressive. They have things like line charts here. This is all being done in WebAssembly. You can go ahead and see the source for how all this stuff looks behind the scenes. Looks pretty simple to me. They've got little donut charts, pie charts, all sorts of stuff. So what I want to learn how to do is I want to see what are the low-level UI components they're using, and maybe we can use that as the basis for trying to go ahead and implement this little bit of UI right here. So let's see what we can do about that. So I should have just forked this over here. Yes, I did. Let's open this with GitHub Desktop. So I'm not remotely experienced at all with Blazor. This is my first time really looking at it. I just want to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And the way I tend to learn things like this is I tend to learn by taking an example that someone else has built and figuring out how that works. And then from there, I can go ahead and modify it and suit it to my purposes. So that's what I'm going to try to go for. Okay. Let's see. I think I've got that clone now. Rads and Blazor. Let's go ahead and open this up in Explorer. And I'll go ahead and open this in Visual Studio. All right. What's everyone else drinking tonight? Anything? Oh. Topo Chico for you. Rye, old fashioned. What type of rye? Just Crystal Light and antibiotics? Oh, man. Bullet rye is good stuff. All right. Okay, sorry. I'm waiting on ReSharper to recover real quick. Yeah, Andrew, that sounds rough, man. There's literally a cocktail called a penicillin. That kind of reminds me of that, except that's more literal. All right, here we go. Rads Inform component. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. To improve performance, some third-party web files are not indexed. All right. Is bound, has value, get value, field ID, identifier. Okay. Well, this all just seems kind of like metadata so far. Let's not get too excited about that. Let's take a look at Radzen component. Man, that song just cut out all of a sudden. Go declaration. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Component base. Optional base class for components. Alternatively, components may implement iComponent directly. Yeah, there we go. Yes, for some reason, the track just completely abruptly exited and the next one started. It was almost like Twitch basically had a problem. Those who've seen me talk code drunk know that it's probably for the best. I think we were both on Saturday night, maybe last weekend or a couple weekends ago. I think we were both working on Akka.net after a couple of drinks, if I recall. Let's see. They have a debouncer. Nice. As an event-driven programming person, that makes me happy. IJS runtime. Set parameters async parameter view represents a collection of parameters supplied to an iComponent by its parent in the render tree. .NET object reference Radzen component. All right, so this is all some of the interop stuff for working with WebAssembly, I take it. Code drunk, PR review sober. That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay. Context menu that has delegate. JS runtime. All right, let's see what this is. Okay. Inject. And is this a Microsoft thing? Or is this a Radzen thing? It's a Microsoft thing. Indicates that the associated property should have value injected from the service provider during initialization. Okay. So we get this passed to us. We get this passed to us via Microsoft. Got it. Get CSS class. And these are parameters that we can set inside our markup, I take it. On context menu, mouse event args. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. On mouse enter, on mouse leave. All right. These are great. These are exactly the sort of things I want to know. Okay. Well, this is making me feel like I've got an idea on how we can make this happen. All right. Now let's take a look at what else we have here. Let's take a look at a chart. What do they use to render a chart? Render fragment. All right, chart series. See, is there an implementation we can look at? Bar series, donut series. All right, sure. Oh, interesting. Cascading value inherits Radzen Pi series. Radzen.blazor.rendering. So I just want to know how to make those brush strokes. That's kind of what I'm after. Because we had talked last time about, do we draw strokes on a canvas? Do we use SVGs? What does Blazor use for this? That's what I want to know. All right. Take a look. Gauge band. Here we go. Path element. Radzen.blazor.rendering.path. All right. Path class. Stroke, line cap, fill, stroke, stroke width. Interesting. Okay. The challenge is that some strokes are going to be tracing bitmaps. Yeah, there's going to be all sorts of stuff in here. That's going to make this a little awkward. Stroke dash array. Line type, dotted. I think we just killed Resharper. Oh no. Oh, I'm flying blind here. Yeah, damn it, Resharper. Timed out exception. That's bad news. Okay. This gives me the hint I was looking for, which is the path here. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of Googling here. Blazor path class. Path element. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this over here. All right. Man, this port doneness is fantastic. Heading, namespaces. Yeah. Components, fundamentals. This is all about initializations. Like, show me the UI stuff, bucko. That's what I want to know. File out component. Class libraries. Parameter, CSS isolation, template components. Advanced scenarios. On-click render component. Most deploy progressive web applications. Man, I just want to know about the UI stuff, guys. That's what I want. Not getting a lot of help from Blazor there. All right, let's keep looking. Path.razor. Point.cs. Should have made it a struct, gentlemen. Rookie mistake. Polar coordinates. See, these guys get to do all the fun computer science and math sort of stuff. That's what you want. Spline generator. Path generator. See, all this stuff all should have been structs, probably. Typically you want to for doing graphics. All right, so they're generating a spline, point with target, path. So I'm not sure they're converting their paths to strings. Is that being done for serialization reasons? Is that what's going on with Blazor here? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Let's see. So where does this get used? RAD's inline series. Value access.razor. Line. How do they render a line? Well, one thing I could do, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Raw circle. One thing I could do is make the cursor really stupid. All right. One thing we could just do is make it so every time you hold the mouse down, we go ahead and we just generate SVG. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If I go and pull this over here, here we go. Give this some upvotes. Ready to have your mind blown. Circle.razor. Circle size, div, radius, flash, string.format. So yeah, it looks like you're right, H3, that the text that we're going and serving up here must be XY coordinates. So okay, so we're just returning SVGs. SVG height, circle. How to use a circle as a component. Well, that seems easy enough, doesn't it? So I guess I could theoretically, if I wanted to start with a really simple drawing area, let's pull up draw together. What UIs do I have? I have index, fetch data, all this sort of good stuff. Counter, all that jazz. All right, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and add a new page. Razor page. Yep. Oh. Yeah, we'll go ahead and add an empty page here. Whew. We'll go ahead and call this. What the heck is this? Hey, I had the wrong type. I must have. Let me get rid of that. Okay, I just want to add a .razor document, folks. Razor page. Sure. That's right. Yeah. Alright. You know what? I've had enough of your shit. Let's get rid of that. We're going to go ahead and call this Hate Got Razor. Hell yes, I do. Alright. And we'll go ahead and call this Hate. Using, sure. Page does not exist in the current context. All right, well, you're about to get a rude awakening. Yeah, what's the gotcha there, H3? This is making me feel very silly. Trying to override something on here? Ugh. I just want everyone else to think I'm cool. See, that all works fine. Do I need a code block? What if I left that alone? Code does not exist in the current context. Oh, what am I missing? Let's see. Page, fetch data. Well, I guess my attempts to go ahead and create a Razor page this way were not successful. Let's give that another try. All right. Let's do Razor component. Call this paint.razor. Page will specify route template. Hey, we did it. We tricked it into working. That is fantastic news. All right. Paint. So, first thing we'll go ahead and do to actually try to get this up and running is we'll see if I can go ahead and capture. Let's see. What events do we have here that I can grab? On after render, on initialize, set parameters, async, all that good stuff. It's kind of an unforced error that I do every time I go into this world again. About to shin my coffee table. If I get it wrong, I just try again, go, oh yeah, that's the way. So apparently adding a Razor component is the way we need to do this. 6-string monk, thank you for following me. Appreciate it. Always good to add more .NET contrarians to our number here. All right, let's go ahead and start with something simple, which is let's try to grab one of these mouse components. That's what I would really like. Let's see. If I go down to the form component here, let's see, override task on context menu. Let's see how we can figure out how to grab some mouse events in Blazor. Let's see. ASP.NET Core Blazor event handling. All right, give that a shot. I'm Googling off screen here, which is a good practice when you're streaming. All right. We're going to go ahead and grab button on click. All right. Well, maybe the first thing I should go ahead and do is let's go ahead and add a big div right here. Or, let's see, I'm gonna do a section. ID equals, we'll call this paint. And I'll go ahead and say, I don't know, color, background, color equals, we'll go with off gray or something back here, I don't know. Corn silk, sure, why not? We'll go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. And I'll go ahead and say the width, 900 pixels, height, 500 pixels. All right. A little bit of CSS love here. Go ahead and do that. And we'll go ahead and add, per our little Stack Overflow suggestion here in Blazor, we'll go ahead and create a little razor component, this circle.razor right here. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. So let me go ahead and add a new folder. Components. And we'll go ahead and add razor components. Call this circle.razor. So what I'm going to try to do is just track the cursor. See what happens. Alright, parameter. Radius. Display value. What the hell is that for? Alright, fine. Circle. We don't need any text. You go away. I don't want text. Radius, stroke. I guess that's the background color. Let's go ahead and do public string. Let's see. Color. And we'll go ahead and call this border color. And then we'll go ahead and do public string fill color. Now, I wonder if there's a way to set some defaults. I hope there are. We'll go ahead and do, yeah. Be nice if I could type this. Is this Blazor? Why, yes, it is Blazor, the internet sensation. Yeah, it is. What we're going to try to do is go ahead and make a little cursor that'll follow my mouse on the screen when I'm inside the draw area for my application. So that's what we're going to try to do. But yeah, this is Blazor. This is my very first time ever doing anything with it. So I want to go ahead and figure out what this is all about. I want to be impressed. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll make this my default value. Go. Blazor's going to be like, no, not loud. Border color, we'll make it the same. I have no idea what that color even is, by the way. I assume it's off-white. Is Blazor production ready, or does it still need more time? I think it's probably pretty production ready. I agree with what Andrew said down below there. That's more or less production ready. So the big problem that Blazor had at one point was all the rendering was server-side because browsers didn't quite support WebAssembly yet, which made it tremendously unscalable for any sort of reasonably popular website. That's been fixed. I believe most of the modern Chromium browsers all support WebAssembly natively now, so they don't need to use these sort of tricks on the server to go and render it, but I'm not 100% on that. So, we shall see. Okay, you know what? My default radius, radius is measured in pixels, I assume. Let's see. Yeah, these are small circles. That's not even actually a circle. That looks more like a kind of ellipse, but whatever. Let's see. Radius of 100. That seems a little big, doesn't it? Yeah, it does kind of. Circle.razor. Let's see. Got that all sorted out. You know what? I'll go ahead and make the radius kind of small. Let's go ahead and set it to like 10 pixels for now. See how that sorts out. Just as a safe default here. So we'll go ahead and set this to 10. Display value. The hell is that for? What do I need the display value for? Is that for... Oh, it was for the text when I had that. Well, we don't care about that. Alright. And is there a way I can specify this as optional? Will capture unmatched values. I don't know what that does. Yeah. Let's see. It's possible that's just over 1 inch unless my math is off. Well, we will find out. That'll be a really big cursor. It'll be kind of like the clown shoe cursor, I suppose. So we'll go ahead and do a circle. I think. Let's double check that. Page, circles. Alright, let's go ahead and give this a shot. Okay. Oh, I gotta do a using that statement here. That's what I'm missing. Using, draw together. That UI dot client components. Boom. Okay. Radius equals value. You know what I will do? I'm going to go ahead and include an ID. I think that's a property that I can tack onto here. ID, okay, cool. Public string, cursor. Make this a parameter. Okay. All right. And go ahead to pay.razor. Okay. Next. On mouse, let's see, mouse over. Are you going to generate a function for me? Or do I have to do it? Looks like it wants me to do it. All right, well, fair enough. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh. So this CX and CY refers to the top left and top bottom positions. Is that correct? Let's see. SVG circle tab. Dude, I am blowing up ReSharper with all this stuff. That's pretty funny. It's possible it's just over 1 inch. I'm looking forward to figuring that one out. All right, what's the CX and CY to find the XY coordinates of the center of the circle? Okay, perfect. That's what I want to know. So that radius as a setting should not be used for that. Let's go ahead and do. Can those be integers? I think they can. Int CX. Public int CY. All right, let's go ahead and do CX. CY. Okay, that should do it. I need to go ahead and add a little function here for this. Mouse event args. Perfecto. Yeah. Okay. Private void. We'll go ahead and call this move cursor. All right. Comment that out. E client X. client Y. All right, coordinate the mouse pointer and local DOM coordinates. And this is coordinate the mouse pointer and global screen coordinates. Okay, so there's got to be some offset math that we need to do to make this render properly, but I'm going to YOLO it for now. And so these are doubles, not ints. So let me go ahead and fix that one at it. Double. Just so it can be kosher. Let's go ahead and do... Does it want me to set a value for this? Is that what's going on? Oh. Okay. Well, I want to do this. Let's see. Bar CX. What? Can't do a var here, I guess. All right, we'll do a double. Double. And I'll go ahead and say did I remember to make these parameters? I didn't. That's a problem. All right. Okay. And let's go ahead and do the x equals e. Y equals E. All right. Let's give this a shot. See what happens. Ah, crap. It's not going to work. I forgot to wire up. Forgot to wire up my mouse over event. All right. Let's see. I think this should be called paint. All right, well, there's my little area. Don't have my circle. Actually, that might be my circle right there, that tiny little thing. All right. Let me go back to here. First things first, let's go to app.razor. Main layout, nav menu. Let's go ahead and grab a link. Go ahead and call this one paint. href, this should be paint. Man, I'm glad they reinvented hyperlinks. This is way more intuitive than what we had before. Okay. And this should be cursor.
Casting director who later became a producer. I was in the middle of doing a reading for her, and she stopped me and she said, "Listen,
see what's up here.
You are not pretty enough to be an actress. You have to find something else that you
Well, let's see what's going on here. I'm under the impression this isn't working. Alright. Come on, ASP.NET Core. Report pointer location. See, I'm missing out on all the good stuff. That's more like it. Okay. Let's try that again. Got a couple breakpoints set. No love from Visual Studio, although these breakpoints can't be hit, apparently. Yeah, I have the dreaded empty circle plus warning. That's exactly right. No debug symbols have been loaded for this environment. Let's see. CX. Take that. I will see if we can get that going. On mouse over. Should take mouse event args. That is correct. A value delegate. Is there anything else I'm doing wrong here that I need to consider? Private void. That looks fine. Maybe I'll do one of these. Actually, maybe that's the way to go. Mouse pointer message. Okay. I spelled circle wrong. That's very classy, Aaron. Good, great job. All right. Let's give this a shot. Okay. I feel like a Ruby programmer having to use logging statements to debug things instead of an actual debugger. You know, it takes me back. Oh, hey-oh. Ah, it only works when I first enter the shape, so I'm using probably the wrong method here. My circle's definitely not showing up. So you know what I might do? Let's do this. Fill color, we'll go ahead and do black. Next thing I'll go ahead and do... radius. Yeah, that was my next guess. I was going to try to pump that up 10.
I can't answer the real question.
Go ahead and try 100. Give that a shot. And then the event, I want to see, do we have an on-mouse move? That's what I want. On-mouse move. There we go. That's what I really wanted. Not mouse over. Oh, sorry, H3.
All I can tell them is it's easy.
You need circle of one radius to be a dot hiding under the cursor. Ah, yeah, that's a good point. Attribute radius already exists. Oh, yeah, the radius is set to 1 on here. Well, that's a little silly. All right, let's pump this up. Okay, well, I had a circle. Where'd it go? If I go ahead and hit reload, there she blows up in the corner there. For one beautiful instant, we had a circle. Alright, so there's got to be some formula that we're missing here. Client X. This is the local DOM coordinates. Alright. Let's try screen X and screen Y. I think we blasted that circle off into outer space by accident. Alright, let's give this another try. What are we doing wrong? Screen X, screen Y. Offset X. Elon Musk put it on a pin. I wonder if it should be X coordinate with the mouse pointer and local DOM coordinates. Alright. Up, that'd be 0 every time. Oh, a rocket. I see. Oh, that is a rocket symbol. That's correct. Well, I think I seriously broke something when I did that. Output. Yeah, whatever that change was I just made, did not like it. Okay, let's give this a try. Let me try moving it out of the section. Let's see what happens when I just do, yeah, screen X.
That to be reviewed.
screen Y. Let me try one other thing just in case. Actually, you know what? Let me reset that. I wonder if this is a Z index problem. Let's see. You may want to change the initialized values for CX and CY. Yeah. See what happens if we do that. That's an idea. All right. Okay, there we go. Hey, I can see like a little line of that shape right there, but it's all gone now. Okay. Let's go ahead and do... Let's just try offset X and offset Y. All right, let's give this a shot. Okay. Paint. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Now, why can it only stay in this tiny little box? Whoop. Yeah, why is it in here? What is special about this? All right, stroke. SVG, height 200, width 200? Oh, bah. Okay. Well, therein lies my problem. All right. Oh, good. Ugh. All right, where are the SVG properties? That's definitely my problem there. Oh, man. What a ride. SVG, height 100, width 100. Okay. You know what? I'm feeling a little brave. Here's what we're gonna do. Oh, that should be width. Yeah, I was just doing math on my radius because my SVG was too small. I'm just gonna make the SVG an outer element. Yep, do that. We'll just go ahead and move this inside of it. And we'll go ahead and do this. Invalid casing. All right. Let's see if that will did the trick. Well, apparently not. Mouse move, mouse cursor. Let's see, what am I doing wrong here? Let's do inspect element. CXCY. Not sure you can move the IED out of the section. I think you might be right. Let's go ahead and try. Oh, browser link's not supported? Okay, let's try restarting. Okay. All right. You know what? I think that's not working either. Circle element has squigglies on it too. Yeah, let's see what's going on with circle. I may have broken it. You know what? I bet it is. Oh, I know what it is. Gosh. Okay. I overloaded the terms there. That's what's going on with it. It's not a dynamic circle anymore. Oh, yes. Look at that. I don't know why I have a purple line around there, but we can fix that. Check this out. Woo! All right. This is progress. All right. All right, all right, all right. That makes me excited. Okay. So, I'm going to rename this. We're going to go ahead and call this Paint Circle. All right. This will be called a Paint Circle. There we go. That border color. Oh, yeah. Well, it says my found markup element with unexpected paint circle. Add using... Oh, looks right to me. Ugh. If I go back to paint, where it's the same as circle color. I actually set circle color black. I don't know why this thing's freaking out. Let's give it a try. Okay. There's got to be some code behind Element that really does not like that this got its name changed. So let's rename it back. Okay. All right, that's fine. Let's call that circle. Okay, on move, mouse cursor. And I'll clean that up. We'll go ahead and set the dimensions a little smaller. What happens if that's like 8 pixels? How big of a cursor is that? Oh man, I've got a ton of these open. Look at that. Woo! All right, that's looking pretty good. Looks pretty snappy. All right. Well, next thing we're gonna do is, let's see. Ropes. Now, is there an easy way for me to go ahead and render it so every time I add a new circle, only adds the new one? It doesn't go ahead and like redraw the entire thing? Kind of like how Knockout.js does. What's a good way of doing that? That's something I'd like to know. How to do like a partial render. Well, we can go ahead and do something nasty. Hell yeah, let's do it. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Mouse down. There's a way to use observables for that. All right, we'll take a look at that. That's what I'd really like, would be a little observable for doing this. That's basically how those Knockout.js collections work. All right, I'm going to go for dose number 2 of my scotch here. right. Woo! Good stuff. Yeah, the observables would add light, so that'll probably be in our next pass on this thing. Let's go ahead and do... let's see. You know what? Let me go ahead and create a little struct down here. Stroke data. Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. I'll go ahead and pull that up next after we get some initial strokes on screen here. Stroke data. Double. Let's see. Maybe I should make that mutable. CX, CY. I wonder if there's a color in Actually, no, they're not. I'm not gonna make that read only. That's good. And we'll go ahead and call this stroke data. You know what else I should add to here? You can lead the air into water, but he won't mix it with a scotch. Ever hear the expression, never water another man's whiskey? This stuff tastes great and neat. I will put water in my whiskey every now and then. Kind of depends. If it's got an overwhelming alcohol flavor, I will. If it's just kind of sweet like how that is, I'll just drink it neat. Now, I usually drink things neat. In fact, I really get upset, actually, when I go to a restaurant and they'll go ahead and pour me a whiskey with like a giant ice cube in it. Because usually, if I'm out at a restaurant, I'm going to get something nice. I'll be like, no! Why? All right, here we go. On mouse down, we're going to go ahead. No cursor ID. So, do I not need to do an @ symbol for that? I guess not. We'll see how well this renders. My younger brother is a professional, like, browser-based graphics programmer, does a lot of SVG stuff. He'll be able to tell me what's performant and what's not pretty quickly. All right, that looks good. So let's go ahead and say strokes.add new stroke data. All right. We'll say cursor size for now is 8. We'll make it settable at some point in the future. Where's my brother? I don't know what he's up to. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. Went to a barbecue with him on Saturday. Let's see. He got food poisoning from some really undercooked Indian food that he ordered the other day. So I think that's where he's been at. Okay. Let's see if this will work. All right, that should do it. Full stack siblings. Hey, dad's a programmer too. I just need my slacker mom to go ahead and get on the game here. Okay, so mouse down. We'll go ahead and leave a little shape when I first press the cursor, but what I want it is to continuously draw. So I'm probably using the wrong event there. So let me go ahead and close that out. What's the right event? Actually, is there a way I can check if the key is pressed down here? If the Alt key was down, the event was fired. Button number that was pressed. Oh, heck yeah. Middle button, right button too. I don't need to use the mouse down event. I can just do it when I move my cursor over there. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, let's see what happens now. Paint. Well, my mouse isn't down, but still. Check that out. Woo! Now the problem is that this is actually painting even if my mouse isn't down right now, which I feel like is kind of a problem. How long until it runs out of array size? That's a great question. Let's take a look at my memory management here. Brave browser. Well, I'm sure some of this is my Twitch streaming here. Yeah, I can't tell if that's me. But I feel like my brush strokes should have a lot more shapes than this. All right, well, this is making progress. But yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to go ahead and start introducing some ability to go ahead and, let's say, like draw like lines and things like that. So shapes that aren't quite so resource intensive. Let's see. Feed up button equals 0. All right, let's take a look. Oh, of course the stupid thing will paint this out. What if there's no buttons being pressed? What do you think about that? All right, let's give this another try. It's always saying 0, even if I'm right-clicking. Like, I'm actually holding the middle mouse button down. Wow. Must be because it's the wrong event. Okay. On mouse up. On touch start. On touch move. What should I be doing here? On key down. So it seems to me like we're not quite getting the right event out of this thing. So let's take a look at some of the other properties here. All right. Meta key, detail, control key, buttons, type of event. Okay, you know what I can do? Here's what I'll do. Don't hold out on me, IntelliSense. Oh no. You think buttons may be what I need? On mouse down, drop the circle. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I'm going for. All right. Before I go any further, let's go ahead and see if Andrew's right here. Let's see. Buttons. Left button equals 1. Okay. You know what, Andrew? You might be right. Let's check it out. All right. Let's give this a shot. All right. That's better. Holy crap. My man. Good stuff. All right. He got it. Andrew got it. Okay. That's what we were looking for. Okay. All right, look at that. Okay. So we got a couple little shapes going here. Got a little, like, I don't know, fish. Kind of swimming here in the ocean. All right. There we go. Look at that. All right. Egg cell ENT, yeah. Oh my goodness. This is too fun. All right. So, I'm feeling a lot more confident about how things are going now with this. This is great. So, next couple of things we should do. Andrew, I think we should probably take your advice and look at hooking in a observable into this whole thing in order to try to basically make sure that if like this constant redrawing, we don't want it to go ahead and like redraw the entire region every single time. Although that doesn't look like what's happening to me. It looks like it's doing a partial draw, doesn't it? I don't know. Let's grab that article that you sent. All right, the observable collection provides notifications when items are added and removed. Implements iNotify property changed, etc., etc. Button pressed isn't reading a value. Observable collection. I don't know. It kind of looks to me, just judging from the syntax here. Let me go ahead and reload this. Looks to me, let's see, maybe this will be a little sailboat down here. Yeah, let's see if I can go ahead and get my little deck going there. Maybe we'll go ahead and have a little bit of wind back at the sail. And we'll go ahead and draw a little bit of water. All right, how about that? The debug value below the draw area. Oh yeah, that's wrong. Yeah, you're right. That's because I'm still using the old value. Sorry about that. That should be buttons. There we go. All right, that should be up to date now. Let's give that a try. Let's see. Oh no, I got rid of my fish. I wanted to save that. My wife is going to be so impressed. Good. All right. Well, that's too bad. There we go. All right, well, that attempt at drawing a fish. Was not very impressive. This kind of looks more like a boot. Yeah, there we go. I've got like a nice prestige sneaker going on here. Or something, I don't know. Oh, it's a little Nike. And I'll go, I don't know. I'm kind of mixing my symbols now. Yeah, I know. This is. I don't have very much artistic, sort of capacity here at all. Demonetized. Oh yeah, I get copyright striked by Nike for doing that. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, hold on. Let me get rid of it. We got to add the eraser symbol stat. Make an NFT out of it. Yes. You're coming up. You know, you guys are coming up with all sorts of good ideas. All right. I appreciate it. Okay. Well, the next thing I think we should do... So, Andrew, I'm actually not sure if we need the observable for this yet. But you know what I'm definitely going to do? I'm going to go ahead and find... Let's see, draw together. I'm going to go ahead and add these changes. I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the right. I'm going to say added first paint surface. I'm going to go and commit that. And I'm going to push that into the repository so other folks can check it out. Pull requests welcome, everybody. All right, let me go ahead and push this up. All right, let's go ahead and send a pull request in. Can't automatically draw. What? Why can't I do that? Draw together to SLN is my merge conflict. All right, that's my dev branch. Well, dev branch, looks like you lose, bud. Peace out. Yeah, take that. Now, if I wasn't worried about being copyright striked, I'd definitely go ahead and put on a little bit of a POD. Here comes the boom. Some real, let's say early 2000s alt rock. I get that up and running. Sadly, I'm not that courageous. All right. Let's go ahead and merge all that together. All right. Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead. Oh, no. Let's reload it. Okay, I feel good about this. I want to go ahead and add a new component now, which is a color picker. So, let's go to components. Add new. Razor component. Actually, you know what? This might be easier. Let's do... Yeah, I'll call this color picker. Let's see. Well, I guess we could do something really simple. We'll go ahead and do, I don't know. Is there a way to specify an output parameter for one of these components? Public string current color. Let's see. I think I'll go ahead and do... Go ahead and do this. That's perfect. Okay. Trying to think, maybe I should just do a little input group or something like that. Pages, counter. Don't want a button. Don't really want that either. All right. We'll make this better later. Input, checkbox, date, file, number. Yeah. Input text. We'll go ahead and say gets or sets the value of the input. This should be used with two-way binding. Okay, that's something I need to know how to do. Blazor two-way binding. There's a website called Blazor University. Dude, good lord. Microsoft has done a lot of work on the marketing department here. This is going to be like a, suicide cult or something at the rate this is going. All right. Is that how two-way binding works? Really? Okay. So I have a current counter value and an event callback. Is that shit necessary? This seems like a more complicated version of what we had before. Okay. I guess that this is a component. I guess that's fine. All right. Correct color. Make this parameter. Okay. Modeled up. Property name. Sure. I don't get this. All right. And we'll go ahead and start with that. You know what? We'll go ahead and start with that. We'll make this nicer later. All right. Where's my paint? Oh, you know what else I should do? Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and do. All right, Blazor University. How is this supposed to work? Okay, I have no effing clue what this is supposed to be. Bind value. Event equals on input. Okay. Blazor University, you're fired. I want a full refund. All right. All right, let's figure this out. Text bind, binding value, component parameters. Bind, dash binding value equals model.name for your page. Model equals model. What? I don't get that. Oh. User model equals. All right, let's take a look at the Blazor docs. We can figure this out. Nested components. Heading font style. Yeah, got it. Oh boy. MySpace rendering behavior. On click. Apply an attribute. Keep this person. Use key to control preservation of elements. When rendering a list of elements or components, and the elements and components subsequently change, Blazor must decide which previous elements and components can be retained, how model objects should map them. Normally, this process is automatic and be ignored. I think this is part of what you were talking about, Andrew. I think that's what's going on there. But I need to figure out invoke component methods externally to update state. In the event a component must be updated on external events or timer notification, use the invoke async method, which dispatches blah blah. Last update. What's the component that we're using? We're using a color picker. Event callback. Let's go ahead. Google off screen. Blazor event callback. Here we go. A little bit of event handling here. DOM event equals delegate. Current heading on, click update heading. That's pretty easy. Event arguments. Event callback. Common scenarios which nested components executes a parent's component method when child component's event occurs. Okay. Event callback is typed with mouse args, but is appropriate for on-click event from a peripheral device. Button. Let's see. I just need to go ahead and have it say something. Right. This will be ugly, but we'll fix it later. All right. And then what sort of event did we use on counter? Just avoid. I'm going to do private void. Color. And change that. Color. We'll go ahead and say invoke async. Current color. Should I do a task here? Do I return that? Is that how that works? All right, on click callback. Oh, okay. On click callback render fragment child content. Contact the child component supplied by the parent. Go message. Async await tastic yield message blaze it. Well, looks like we have some marijuana enjoyers at Microsoft having a good time there. Doesn't surprise me since that's legal in Seattle. Well, really, the state of Washington. All right. Let's see. Input. Value count on keydown handler. Stop event propagation. Well, we don't want to do that. What I really want to capture is the value of that field. Pass it along. All right, where's index? Definition. Title strong. Demonstrate how a parent component can supply parameters. So include that. Okay. Field color. Private screen. Oh, I see what I can do. I can make that settable. Yes. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. And we got a default value for that. Let's see. This should be all right. Let's see how this goes. All right, approaching the end of the evening here. Let's see how far we can get. Field errors. Ah, that's what I did wrong. Cannot convert Microsoft ASP.NET Core component string. Okay. What am I doing wrong here? Button on click. Oh, I see. I got you. All right. Go ahead and do. What the fuck is that? Okay. Color value changed. Hope that works. All right. Now let's see what happens. Important marketing advice. Uh-oh. Michael Batnick. Let's take a look at that. An unhandled error has occurred. Uh-oh. Something didn't like something. Okay. Give that a try. That is pretty funny. Invisible sculpture, otherwise known as nothing, sold for $18,000. You know, I bet with a little bit of hard work, some elbow grease, I could get that done. Okay, well, our paint component does not seem to be terribly pleased with how things have been going so far. So I guarantee it's got to be something wrong with my little color picker here. What I really want is if I update this color picker, I want to be able to go ahead and propagate that event. Update heading. For our button number, yeah. I want to be able to just go ahead and propagate that form value. Oh, bind. Oh, input bind new heading. Okay. Well, that might be my problem in that case. Let's give this a try. Input. Is that it? And we'll go ahead and, I don't know, put that there. Fine. Input is a void element and cannot have a closing tag. Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Input bind, new heading. Bind, update heading. Okay, that looks better. All right, let's give this a shot. Okay, so I think I got the bindings fixed. Let's see how we do this. All right, let's go ahead and do set color. Oh my gosh, look at that. Let's go ahead and do, I don't know. Whee! Oh man. So we got to come up with a better UI. We got to come up with some way to actually get a preview what colors are there and help show people what's going on. We've got to come up with a way to go ahead and also make the lines a little bit more. How do I put this? We gotta find a way to go ahead and make the lines a little bit more clear cut here. Man, check that out. Next thing we should do is go ahead and find a way to make the cursor size bigger. So let's go ahead and do that real quick before we call it a night here, since I feel like we're on a roll. Let's go ahead and do add razor component. Let's go ahead and call this the cursor picker. Jackson Pollock, eat your heart out. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, color picker. Let's grab that. Cursor. Let's see. We'll let people pick other cursor types. Select. Got it. And let's go back to our color picker. Got our little events. We'll go ahead and call this cursor size. Set this equal, and this will be int. We'll set this equal to 8. And then we'll go ahead and make this an int. We'll go ahead and change that. Cursor size change. Okay. mind. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of that. Go ahead and do on select. And let's see, let me find my color picker. Grab that. Do cursor size change. Cursor size changed. We'll go ahead and pass in cursor size for that. That looks good. All right, now I've got to go ahead and actually populate this list. What goes inside a select element? Is it option? Value equals 1. Range. It'd be better if we could just go ahead and add a num box. But I am lazy. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. Let's pick that. We'll go ahead and do... Whoops. Go and do that. Looks good. We'll go ahead and do private void int update cursor size. Hey, we've got some good jams for this last part too. All right. We're not doing any type of input validation right now. So buyer beware. Let's check this out. Actually, I might have a bug. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, I sure do. Okay, let's give this a shot. Blast and refactor. Yeah, I'm a test-driven developer now. Well, that doesn't look like that worked. Well, I got that going. Cursor size doesn't look good, though. What am I doing wrong? On select. That should work. Fine, cursor size. Let's see. You know what? What if I change this to an input? We'll just be totally lazy as shit about it. Rather than do that. Cursor size. I guess I don't need to do that. Alright, that's fair. Or it's going to bitch at me about setting an integer equal to the value of that field. Bet it will. Yeah. Ugly, but get the job done. Glad to clean this up later. Alright. Let's give it a try. Nope. Not implicitly convert into string. No, that's a weird deal. Okay. Alright, let's give this a shot. Looks good. Oh, there we go. Although I'm using a hard-coded value down there, my cursor's a lot bigger than my actual drawing area is. Okay, let's fix that. I know how to fix that. That is because I hard-coded it. All right. Let's give this a shot. All right, we'll go ahead and do EC. Got a little purple going. We'll go ahead and make the cursor bigger. Oh, check that out. Look how big those brush strokes are. Hell yeah. Nice. Nice indeed. Now I know what else I can do. Final last thing for tonight. Last thing I'm going to go ahead and do. Go here. Button. We'll go ahead and clear the screen. Actually, what do I call that method? Reset screen. All right. And we'll do that by calling strokes.clear. All right. We've gone from Blazor chumps to Blazor heroes in a short period of time. All right, got some drawing there. All right, got my purple back. Let's go ahead and pump that cursor size up. Yeah, there you go. Let's see if I can go ahead and add some, I don't know, yellow or... Wow, that's trippy. Get a load of that. It's like I've got like a transparent gradient there. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. Got some blue going. Now we have our clear screen button and voila. It's all gone. So there we go. Maybe 4 positions as an alpha. Yeah, maybe. Let's give that a try. Well, that doesn't even work. Got a slightly darker blue. Whew. It's kind of like a little eraser syntax there. And we'll go ahead and clear up some of that. EE. Do that. Get a little bit of red. All right. And then let's go ahead and make the cursor really big. Let's go up to 70. Yeah, there we go. Check that out. Now I can go back down to 1. I can go ahead and go CC BD11. Look at this tiny little single 1 pixel at a time. The DPI on my mouse is so high, I can't even make a straight line. Yeah, get a load of that. Then I can always clear the screen again when I need to. All right, well, this is pretty exciting, I think. I think we've made some pretty good progress on our little Blazor application here. I'm going to go ahead and commit this. Let's see, added paints, cursor selector tools. We'll go ahead and check this in and then call it a night. Man, all of this on a couple glasses of bourbon, too. Not bad. Not bad for an evening. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. Yeah, buddy. You bet 8 positions of an alpha too? I bet. I think that's pretty cool. The fact that gradients are already built in, that's pretty sick. That's pretty sick indeed. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. As always, we'll go ahead and be here every Tuesday and Thursday night. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. But thanks again for sticking with us. Hope you had fun. And we'll be signing off. We'll go ahead and catch you next time. Thank you very much, everybody.